evening, everyone. If I could have your attention, we'll get our meeting called to order. It is 5:30, and we do have agendas back here on the podium if you'd like to grab one and follow along. I'd like to remind everyone that this is what we call our regular council meeting tonight. Last Monday night on the 10th, we had our workshop meeting where we discussed the items that we'll be voting on tonight. So I didn't want you to be concerned that there wasn't much discussion on some of these items because we did discuss them at the workshop. Now that we're called to order, we will have our prayer and our pledge. I'm going to offer our prayer, and then following that, Councilman Cromer is going to offer our pledge. So if you don't mind, please bow with me in prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and all the many blessings that you've given us. I pray that we'll have a productive meeting. I pray that we'll be able to discuss and tackle the important things that we need to tackle and be efficient in how we handle those things. I also pray that you give us the grace to come up with the best possible and morally right solutions that would best benefit the people of this wonderful community that we serve. In Jesus' name I pray these things, Father. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Lester. All right, gentlemen, you have our agenda before us. That was sent out to us. We reviewed that last week, so I'll take a motion concerning the agenda.
Move to approve.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So that is approved. The next item on our agenda is approval of the minutes that are in our packet. We actually have 3 sets of minutes, one from June 20th, one from July the 10th, and then one from our joint meeting with the county and the municipalities of Tata and Omega for SPLOST that took place on July the 13th. So we can take all of those together. So I'll take a motion.
Move to approve.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, thank you, Josh. We have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, public comments. Mr. Doug Pitts, I believe, has signed up to address the council. So, Mr. Pitts, if you'd like to come to the podium here. And just for our record, if you don't mind, please state your name and your address, and then you'll have several minutes that you can address the council.
Okay, Doug Pitts in 9 Creel Road, Chula, Georgia.
Okay.
And I'm here today. I was concerned on a convenience store Billy Ray was putting on Armour Road. I own a house at 202 Gulf Street, and I'm just now fixing to start preparing it to rent. And I was concerned about maybe my tenants and the loud noise and how late the convenience store would be open at night with lights and what crowds would be coming in and making a lot of noise where my tenants couldn't get no rest. You know, I was just concerned about that.
Okay. Okay. All right. Did anyone have any questions, Mr. Pitts, or anything? Okay. Well, we will take that into consideration. Thank you so much for coming, Mr. Pitts. We appreciate your concerns. Jessica, was there anybody else that signed up to speak? Just Mr. Pitts? Okay. All right. All right, gentlemen, we have our consent agenda, which, as you know, we can take those 2 items together. That's the approval of the landfill tractor and then the La Fiesta del Pueblo Festival. So I'll take a motion concerning either both of those together, or we can take them separately if you'd like to.
I
Go ahead.
I move we approve both.
Okay.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Under old business, this is a discussion we've had for a couple of meetings now, and that's the proposed increase for natural gas rates. I know Emily has some new information for us that you passed out, so Emily, I'll turn it over to you.
Yes. Mayor and council, we, as the mayor said, we have been discussing this the past few meetings. The final recommendation that I would have before you today, I've heard your concerns about increasing residential. We did just have a water increase for them. I would like to recommend increasing the gas margin by 75 cents, not inclusive of residential, and we cannot increase UPS or the city of Nashville per an agreement that we already have. So the papers that you have in front of you, I would go with the very last option for a 75-cent increase, which would be a projected net revenue of $300,000 to the gas fund per year.
Okay. Does anyone have questions or clarification?
How many years did you say it had been since we had raised, do you remember what we were
Since
talking?
Donna Pate has been here, she can remember us raising gas prices twice. A little bit of history there, the gas fund held its own for many, many, many years because of Tifton Aluminum and Shaw Industries. Unfortunately, when we lost those two, we lost a lot of revenues to our gas fund. So here we are today, and the gas fund is one that holds its own. We have lines that are, some of them are 75 years old, they need to be, or 65 years old, they need to be updated. The gas fund would provide that. An example I can give you today is the net revenue that we came in with that fund ending the year was $673,000. We have capital projects this year planned at a total of $855,000. So that's just an example of needed work and not having the revenues to do it from year to year. Therefore, I would ask for a 75-cent increase to all margins, not inclusive of residential, UPS, or the city of Nashville.
Okay.
I mean, once again, we fund a lot of these improvements through SPLOST, and versus the enterprise fund making enough money to fund them. So this just, like water, but we're keeping the residents out of it. This gets the fund moving toward self-sufficiency if something was to happen to SPLOST, because right now if something happened to SPLOST, these funds would be in
Trouble.
dire straits.
Yeah, exactly.
And just to explain the margin piece to you, so there's two parts to this. You have a delivery cost, which we get those costs each month. They fluctuate from MGAG. And then we have a distribution cost, which you'll see is the margin. That is the markup. So if they come in and say it's $10 this month per MCF, our markup margin for commercial would be, $4.25. If we did the 75-cent, our margin of that would be $5. So that's why you see the margin. You do have a base fee. The base fee is for the meter only, and that is for residential and commercial. However, that is just to help with the meter. Changing those prices and those costs would not have an increase or anything that we would need substantially for the fund.
Okay.
I move we approve 75 cents.
All right, thank you, Jack. So we have a motion
Second.
to approve. We have a second for that motion. Is there any further discussion or any other questions? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so that does pass.
Do I need to be sure that it's based on their recommendation, that it's just those, does not include residential, UPS, and City of Nashville? So I need to.
Okay.
That is
You
correct.
got that, Jessica, in
For the
the
record.
minutes for clarification. Okay, thank you. That's a good point, Jack. Thank you for that. Appreciate that clarification. All right, and I guess you're good with the second on that clarification. Okay. All right, for new business, we have review of the 2023 tax digest and the proposed millage rate. So, Emily?
This is just a quick discussion for transparency with the community. We wanted to have two readings before it came to a special called meeting on July 27th at 5:30 to set and adopt the millage rate. With that, the state is proposing a .001 rollback. This is a legislative mandate. It is not a tax increase due to inflation growth. This is the rollback to help with that. So just for the record, we wanted the community to understand what we were kind of looking at in that direction.
Okay.
We will have a special called meeting with the tax commissioner on July 27th at 5:30 to officially adopt that, should you,
Okay.
if that's the direction you want to go.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions about that? I know we've all reviewed this extensively, so.
We just need to clarify, because it always,
Sure.
somebody's house goes up more than the average, because these things get reassessment and whatever reason. So everything's based on an average. Well, if yours goes up way above the average, chances are you're gonna see a little increase in taxes, because we're rolling back so that we don't have any more revenue than last year based on assessed value. So overall, it's zero. Some will be up a little bit, some might be down a little bit, so.
Exactly. Okay, does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Everybody's good with that? Thank you for that, Jack. All right, so again, we won't vote on that this evening. We'll do that on July the 27th, like Emily said. Next item on our agenda under new business is the request to designate Essence on Main as a festival. So Emily, you got some information on that?
Ms. Howard, are you here? Come on and step to the podium. Ms. Howard came to the city to put in a permit to have hopefully a city-deemed festival called Essence on Main, scheduled for October 21st from 4 to 10 would be the times of the event. This would be featuring local artists from all walks of life. I'll let Ms. Howard kind of go over that in just a minute. Actually, Ms. Howard, do you want to tell them about the event and what you're proposing to do, and then I'll provide my recommendations.
Gotcha, yes. The Essence on Main, we'll use local artists and talent. We have, just different people that are willing to perform for us. We'll have food trucks and just an outreach of our culture, African American culture, to bring in to show our talent and what we have with our food trucks from various vendors, the entertainment, kids area, and of course it would be like a family-friendly event as well.
Yes. The event first was set for First Street Extension next to Brumby Way by Don Julio's and Giggles. The city actually does not own that, the Downtown Development Authority does. I have been in conversations with the chair today to speak to him about that to make sure it was okay. Unfortunately, they do have construction that has been scheduled for a while for the depot. It will go into 2 phases. The first phase, they will be fixing the roof at the depot. The second phase, they will be going under the structure, adding supporting beams, and then bricking it back up on the outskirts. Unfortunately, in October, it will be under construction, so I have given Ms. Howard a recommendation to move the location. I've offered 2 recommendations of either Fullwood Park or Cato Night parking lot for them. The difference between a special event and a festival is a festival is city designated for the purchase and sale of alcohol, is what this would be. The ordinance does also call out that would need to be a designated plastic cup. Ms. Howard has presented that they would like to use their own cup with their logo on it. My recommendation is that we stick to the Think Tifton cups. It's what our first responders are trained on to be able to know who has the wristband, they're 21 years of age, and to recognize the cup.
Yeah, and that is the designated cup, so that would be required. That's what I know Rhythm and Ribs and Rock the Block and all of the events use that cup because that is the designated cup,
Right.
so that's required. Okay. All right, so it would be at the Cato Night parking lot, same date and time and everything?
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
use the Cato Night. That way, if we go to the park, the name that we're trying to use, Essence on Main, it kind of doesn't really
Stays.
go. So if we can
Yeah.
use the Cato Night parking lot, that'd be great.
Right.
And they would bring in their own stage. That stage does sit kind of funny to the parking lot to have
Sure.
an event. So they would bring on their own stage.
Okay.
We would be able, since we own that parking lot, we will be able to block off both parts.
Sure.
So we can help with pedestrian traffic. In a city designated festival, we would also give public safety, solid waste. We would have to absorb that in the budget. That is not something that we have planned for, but we would absorb that into the
Okay.
budget.
Okay, and you have restrooms and everything there, like porta potties?
We would have to get those.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay, yeah,
if
because
needed,
there's,
yes.
unfortunately, on that end, there's no restrooms like there would be at the other end, but
Okay.
yeah, so, okay. All right, any questions of either Emily or Ms. Howard?
I'm just curious how this, do you have a connection with the Arts and Black Festival that's been going on for years? Is this, because you had mentioned this is, to bring out African American, culture and stuff, so
Our organization is not affiliated with them, but we are familiar with them, and we're working together. It's a community project. So as Jake's Hands, which is our nonprofit organization, continues to grow, we are forming more connections with those.
Okay, and Jake's Hands is your nonprofit. Can you tell us a little more
Correct.
about what Jake's Hands does? I know you had the Juneteenth that we presented that scholarship.
Correct, yes. My husband and I, we've been feeding in the community for many years. So we serve meals to families, children during the holidays, summers, and other services or assistance that's needed. That's what we've been doing. But our organization was just formally formed this year. where we receive the nonprofit information.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions?
Is this something you're hoping to have an annual event?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we want to make it annual. Yes. So, and then the Juneteenth, we will also be doing that, which we'll discuss that later, but we will also be growing that event as well.
Okay, any other questions?
They had a big crowd at the park for the Juneteenth.
Yeah, I heard all
Yeah.
The only thing I would ask is if it is approved, make sure we have information on restrooms. And then we would need an updated map to be able to give first responders so they know where the designated area is, where the food trucks would be, where the alcohol would be and all of that.
Okay, and we did ask Don Julio to provide if we could extend the control area, I guess, to include Don Julio's as well.
Don Julio's was willing to give a profit off of the alcohol sales to the non-for-profit. So what we would have to do with that is expand the controlled boundaries to where, similar to a sip and stroll, where they can go in Don Julio's and come out with their alcohol and walk to Cato Knight parking lot.
And some people like to eat.
Do
I know I would.
Well, we're gonna have, they'll have food trucks.
I know, I'm
Josh.
teasing,
Okay.
I'm teasing.
He don't care anything about drinking, he just wants to eat.
All right, any other questions, comments? Does anyone want to make a motion?
I move to approve.
Okay.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right, if you'll just get with Emily and finalize those details and
Perfect.
everything, that would be great.
Thank you guys so much.
I will give you a call tomorrow, Ms. Howard.
All right. Gentlemen, the next item on our agenda is under our ordinances category. The first item under the ordinances category is the potential consideration for the potential rezoning of the .29 acres located at 200 Gulf Street, requested by Linville Properties LLC. We did have our public hearing on that, and we did discuss that. So I'll open that up for any further discussion or questions. I know Crystal's here if anyone has any questions, or I'll take a motion concerning that rezoning.
I just have a clarification of which district it's in.
That would be District
Yeah,
Is it
That's-
that's gonna be district, that's gonna, should be District 4, yeah. Crystal, can you, address the council on the planning and zoning meeting from this Gulf Street?
Give me just a second, I'll pull up the minutes.
You want the presentation?
No. I don't have them with me, but based on memory, the Planning and Zoning Commission did not recommend approval of this application. We went over concerns such as noise, lighting, parking, traffic, and the presence of all of the properties surrounding this one being residential in nature, that there are no limitations on hours of operations for general business properties or properties that are zoned general business, and the downsides of being a neighbor next to a residential property without those limitations.
Yeah, we do have those minutes in our packet, so we can reference those and see that that was denied by the Planning and Zoning at their meeting of June the 12th. So,
Yes. And just to address the citizens about this, and is it, the corporation is Lynn, is that right, Lynn Hill? I want to make sure I'm saying it.
Lynn Bill.
Lynn Bill. From the standpoint of me and being the councilman for this district, and having dealings with Armour Road before, I know we've had some other activities, and also some speeding down that road. And I've gotten calls for that as well, but also I've gotten references here from people that actually live on Armour that's discussed with me 838 Armor Road, Miss Lucy Hill and Broderick Henley. They are not in favor of having a convenience store around where they obviously reside as well. And they're also still worried about the speeding and traffic right at that bottom end area where that actual convenience is being proposed to go to. With that being said, with that being my district and the ones that live on that street and they have those concerns, I'm going to not have to be in favor for putting a convenience store there. But that's just where I am for my constituents and the calls that I've received and the worries of the area. And also with planning and zoning, having denied that for those reasons prior to, I think that's the way we should move forward with.
Okay, do you want to make a motion for denial, or do you want to see
Yeah,
if there's any other?
If there's any other discussion, I'm speaking from the behalf of my constituents.
Can I respond?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I will. I leave that to the mayor.
To make it very brief. We normally don't allow that interaction, but we'll make it very brief.
This location has had problems for many years after zoning come in because it kind of escaped the pattern of business and resident, and the building has always been used for business purpose. Although it was residential in nature, but it's always been used for a business because it was built like that. And it was built, A&S Rentals was there at the beginning. That was where they first started out. And during the time that no one was using the building, that was when the zoning changed in Tifton. It was incorporated zoning, and no one was using the building, so the owner didn't see no need to have it rezoned and pay more taxes and more costly for it to sit there empty. So that's the real reason it wasn't rezoned when the city incorporated zoning. With that said, I truly believe it's time to make the zoning fit the building.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Washington, let me stop you there. I don't mean to interrupt you, but we had the public hearing where all of that was
right,
expressed. So
understand.
we've got a motion on the floor.
Okay.
Did you make the motion to deny?
Yeah,
Is that what you?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
gonna make the motion to deny.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion, any other questions of either staff or Mr. Washington? Okay. I'll call for the vote, seeing no further discussion. All those in favor of approving the denial, so I want to make sure you understand what you're voting for. So if you vote yes, it means you do not want to change the zoning. If you vote no, it means you do. So I'll call for that vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so that does pass unanimously. And I do want to remind everybody that the Planning and Zoning Board follows the comprehensive plan that's established for the city of Tifton. They are a recommending board, so we tend to follow the recommendations of those boards. They've received extensive training. They understand the implications of zoning changes and how that impacts not only one parcel, but an entire area. So we tend to follow their recommendations. And like you said, MJ, they did not approve that in their meeting that was held recently. So we'll move on now to our next item for consideration. That's an ordinance to annex 2 tracts of land located on E.B. Hamilton Drive. And this is being requested by Tift Magnolia Properties. And you have that before you. We also had that at the public hearing and at the workshop. So I'll take a motion concerning that ordinance.
Move to approve.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, our next item is to consider those same 2 tracts of land, to rezone those since they'll be annexed into multi-residential as requested by Tift Magnolia Villas, and we did discuss that again at the workshop and at the public hearing. So I'll take a motion concerning those, that rezoning.
Move to approve.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. So we have motion second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes. Emily, do you want to talk about this next item on the agenda for the Historic Preservation Commission?
Yes.
Okay.
After further research of this, and after speaking with DCA, the State Historic Preservation Office, and the State Coordinator for CLG, which is the Certified Local Government, is the status that we hold. If we were to appoint anyone outside of the city's jurisdiction, we would have the CLG status removed from us. The CLG status has a few perks, so I'm just going to tell you about the main perks for us. If we put county residents on this board, we would lose federal and state tax incentives. Just a reminder, we did have a few property owners who took advantage of that in the previous years. The Nixons have, Yellow Monkey has, pending the Golden Building. So this is something great that we can wrap up with a nice bow and offer to property owners. We would also lose eligibility for anything that goes through the National Park Service, which could be in hand with FEMA and GEMA. I'd like to remind you that the facade work we're fixing to have done on the back of the theater is a grant through FEMA from the National Park Service. So essentially we would lose that funding. This status is not something that I believe that the city should be doing. This is a great incentive that we have. I am not in recommendation for approval of this.
Okay. So if, gentlemen, if you are in agreement with that statement, we would need a motion to, well, let me ask you this, Rob. What's the best way to handle that? Just not vote on it and just leave things alone, or do we need to vote it down, or?
I think you just vote it down. You've got it on the agenda. You just make a motion
Okay.
to deny.
Okay.
The
I move we
amendment to
deny.
the ordinance.
And
To
let
any
me
changes.
let me add one more thing.
Sure.
We did look into having, if we wanted to have someone from the county on there, if we could, a county resident, you certainly could. It's not best practice in the state. A lot of times you don't see a lot of movement because they are a non-voting members. And just a reminder, this is a voluntary board,
Right,
so that's not best practice.
Okay. So we do have a motion to deny in a second. Did I hear a second?
We said deny
Motion
with
to
no
deny
changes.
The changes,
Yeah.
to leave everything as it currently exists.
Yes.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to that effect. Is there any further discussion? Any other questions? All right, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of that denial, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you. MJ, let me ask you a question. Are you on I'm not on Facebook, but I know that the Heritage Foundation, which is comprised of mostly residents that live within the historic district that the HPC oversees, I know they have a Facebook page. Do you are you on that page?
I want to say I am. I hadn't seen anything in a little
Okay.
while. I know they
The
did.
reason I'm asking, that would be a good place to put the word out that we do need volunteers to serve on Historic Preservation Commission, and anyone who's interested that lives in the neighborhood, of course, they would qualify, they're city residents,
Right.
but on a even better scale, they are residents of the district that they're
Right.
overseeing. So if you don't mind, I
Okay.
don't know who oversees that page.
Okay.
Can you reach out to them and see if they would put some information, maybe with Jessica's information, or
Okay.
maybe even the application there or something, so that we can see if we can, let everybody know how that works and everything. So
Yeah,
if you don't
will
mind
do.
doing that, that would be good. Okay. All right. Moving on, the next item is concerning the ordinance to amend the city's land development code regarding signage for resolution on amending the regulations, for billboards, stanchion signs, nonconforming signs, and other subsections. I sent an email out to the council after we discussed this at the workshop and had our public hearing. I had a local sign company reach out and ask if they could come and meet with us. They were concerned about what was going to be happening if we approved this, and felt like they would be put at an unfair advantage. And I really hadn't thought about that. I think Rob has had someone reach out to him about it. So I'm going to recommend, I can't make a motion, but I'm going to recommend that we postpone voting on this. I think we need to have more discussion, Crystal, and get more information potentially. And what I'd like to do is have these smaller companies maybe come in and express their concerns so that we can consider those. Rob and I did talk earlier today. There was, we didn't know if it would be beneficial maybe to just have a moratorium on signage just for the next 30 days until we can kind of settle through all of this. I'll leave that up to the council. Rob, any comments you want to make concerning that potential moratorium?
No, Mayor, I think that, the fact that the council does not want to act on this and wants to postpone it, certainly I think that, it being something that's just come out tonight, a moratorium would be, appropriate if you wanted to entertain that for a period of 30 days. I do concur. I've had some other people reach out to me regarding the billboards, and people offering to actually come and present, their views. So certainly I think that there's, maybe Emily can form, get those people together so they can talk through and give us the information they need. So two things, I think a moratorium would be appropriate if you'd like to do that. And then, the issue of postponing it, that you can make a motion to postpone to a definite time. If you want to make that time, our regular meeting in August, then that would give you the time that you're looking for in order
I
to.
think that would give us, I don't want to delay it too long.
I think Crystal has a,
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
What about,
Yeah.
Would that moratorium be on billboards only? 1, 2, do you think maybe we could take action on section 7.1400 non-conforming signs? And then leave the rest for further discussion?
We can do that. The section, Crystal, on the billboards, that is 7.
It is 7.12.00C, billboard signs.
Okay, so,
I think we need to let's vote to not amend the ordinance. Okay, try to make it clean, say not amend. Now, and then if we want to approve one section out of it, I'm not sure what 30 days or 60 days matters. Does it matter if we wait 30 days on all of it? I mean, is there something that's fixing to happen that we?
No, nothing imminent. So the reason, if there was any rush put behind the sign ordinance update, it was a series of permit applications that we denied, and they were face change outs on non-conforming signs. And so we told them that they did not ask for any special advantages or anything like that, but I really felt awful for denying the applications. I felt that it went against good common sense, that on a non-conforming sign that we let the face sit up there and rot and everybody have to look at that as they drive past it, or we could allow them to just do face change outs and not do structural repairs. So that was really the push behind updating the sign ordinance in the first place, was because of the non-conforming section. While we were in the ordinance, we felt, let's go ahead and if we're going to go through the process, let's go through the process. Let's look at every section and see what needs to be updated. So if there was any push behind like the time frames on it, it was the non-conforming section so that we could approve those.
So are they now going to be conforming? Did they?
Yeah, so it won't change their non-conforming status. It will just allow them to change out their dilapidated faces.
and can you give me an example of a non-conforming so we would all understand?
Yeah, so Fairfield Inn on 82, so right there at BJ's Event Center and Circle K and across the street, or right next to Applebee's. Their sign is roughly 270 square feet, and under our ordinance, they would only be able to do a sign, I believe, 90 square feet. So it's bigger than what would be allowed. But they've went through a brand update and they want to update the faces. So I don't see that as being structural or prolonging the life of the non-conforming structure, but it would just allow them to do those face change outs that they need to do. That was really the reason why we started looking at the sign ordinance in the first place. That's why if we can take action on that section, it would at least take care of the more, I won't call them imminent issues, but what was pushing the force behind this, and that would give us more time to do a lot of research into maybe other alternatives to controlling the billboard population. the replacement program is one option, there could be several other options out there, and it might give us an opportunity to provide more option A, Bs, and Cs.
So this, they'll still be non-conforming, but it doesn't change the fact that if they want to do something structural, they'd have to then make it conforming.
That's right.
This doesn't change that.
They'd have to reduce the
This is
overall
what's been
size.
going on. It's the thing that's going on for several months, better. Okay, I'm gonna make a motion to not amend, well, I'll make a motion to only amend that one section, non-conforming signs.
So,
That's written.
make sure we're on the same page, because what you're saying is that the only section that we want to vote on and adopt tonight is 7.14.00.
Well, that's what was behind the whole change in the first place. That's the only reason this whole thing came about with these signs, was that particular incident.
Well, but there was also, Crystal and I met with Lamar Billboard Company, and they were wanting to put up more billboards, and so that was, the billboards were tied into this. So it was all kind of happening at the same time.
And there was other issues,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
with the size of the signs on the I-75 corridor.
All right, I'm gonna, I know you've made a motion.
I'll withdraw the motion.
Okay,
No,
well,
I'm fine. I mean, it's not a big deal.
okay, I was just gonna ask Rob, you know, how you felt about just the one item, you know, if that was permissible, or if it would be cleaner to just delay everything until the next council meeting, which in August, the regular council meeting in August, whatever that date is. I don't have my calendar, but.
It certainly would, there's nothing that would prevent you from adopting an amendment to 7.14 on non-conforming signs tonight.
Right.
Be a lot cleaner, I think, if you do it all at one time, but then again, I appreciate, you
Yeah.
know, if we can do it all at one time, that would probably be best, but if,
I mean, are they pushing them out? I try to be business friendly.
Yeah.
They're a business, ongoing business. I appreciate Lamar, but
Yeah.
they just do signs, okay?
Right.
These people
are here,
employing
yeah.
people and trying to do something to, you know,
Yeah.
upgrade their business.
Right.
And for us to take as long as we're taking is absurd.
so I think Crystal's okay if we just do it all at one time.
Okay,
If, you know, so, there's basically, we need a motion to postpone to a definite time this particular item. And then, of course, if you want to entertain a moratorium, then we need a motion.
two
on
separate
that as
actions.
well.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to postpone.
Until the August regular council meeting.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so we have that motion.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Is everybody clear on what we're doing? Postponing? Okay, all right, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, and then if you would like to entertain a moratorium until that same time of the regular council meeting, that would require a second action, but that's up to the council. If you have any questions, Rob?
Is 30 days long enough? I guess that's the question. I don't know. We've never got anything done in 30 days.
We're gonna have to now.
No, just being honest.
I think that this will give, you know, an opportunity to meet with other people to get their input. You can, you know, actually workshop it again in the first part of August, and then hopefully be able to, you know, be in a position to adopt something in the regular meeting. If you need to extend the moratorium, that, you know, you could do that
We
too,
could,
but
yeah.
Well,
hopefully
we
you
have
can
it
get
moratorium for 30 days. Done.
Okay, so let me get this motion handled, then I'll come back to your
That's-
question.
that's-
Okay, so we have a motion to implement a moratorium on signage for 30 days. Is there a second? Okay, so we have a second. Now, you had a question?
I'm good now.
You sure?
I'm positive.
Okay, okay.
So who made that motion in second?
Jack made a motion.
And then Lester, second.
I think, you know, I'm sorry, you're really making a motion to a moratorium on the issuance of permitting billboard signs.
That's correct.
That's what I said, Judge.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what Jack said.
And that's what Lester seconded.
What I thought.
That's what you seconded, wasn't it? Yeah,
what I
that's what he
thought.
said. All right, Jessica, does that make sense, just for the billboard aspect of it? Okay. So if a new business comes in downtown and needs to get a sign permitting, that's not a problem, so, okay. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? this is for the moratorium for just billboards for the next 30 days.
No.
All right? I'll call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you, gentlemen. Okay, and then item number 11 is the resolution on the board appointment policy. And if you'll recall, that was, if we were going to make that change on the county applicants. Since we did not implement that change, is there a change to the ordinance, Emily?
There wouldn't be. The only thing, if you guys were to approve the general policy, and what the ordinance says is if it's a board without a bylaw, they would go under the general policy. The general appointment policy, those boards is KTB, which the county already has a county designee, so you wouldn't need to change that. Planning and zoning, I don't think we need to have a county resident on that board. The airport authority, it's kind of the same as KTB. The library board has county, tourism has a county appointment, and then urban redevelopment. We probably wouldn't want to put a county resident on that, as that's in our boundaries. So my recommendation would be to not approve this if you're not wanting to approve the agency.
Okay, does that make sense? So we would
everything
leave
would stay
everything
the
the
same.
same. So we would need a motion to
Not approve the resolution.
not approve the
I move to
resolution.
not approve that resolution.
Okay.
I second.
All right, so I have a motion and a second. Any further questions? All in favor of not approving the resolution, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. I know that's confusing. All right, we do have, our board report is in your packet. You can see we have several applicants with several boards. We can take these individually if you'd like. Tipton Planning and Zoning Board, Frank Sales, Emmett Cater, and Solomon Nixon are all asking for reappointment. And the Planning and Zoning Board has met per our recommendations, and they have recommended reappointing those members. So why don't we take these one at a time, since we've got several. So, so if anyone would like to make a motion concerning those three applicants' reappointment to Planning and Zoning, I'll take that now.
I move to approve.
Okay, thank you, Lester. So we have a motion to approve that. Is there a second?
Second.
We have,
MJ can say.
okay, all right, we have a second by MJ. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you. All right, our next item for the board is the library board. Let's see. The library board recommends appointing Mr. Keith Daniels and Ms. Nancy Bryan.
I move to approve those.
Okay, so we have a motion. Is there a second? We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, and then we have the Tift County Board of Health. Tina Moody, who is a local school nurse. Her term has expired and she is seeking reappointment. I also serve on that board by virtue of being the mayor. Tina's she's been a very good board member, so I know that that approval would be approved.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, thank you, MJ.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second by Lester. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say. Oh, it's Josh. I'm sorry. I thought it was you, Lester. By Josh. I'm so sorry. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you. And then our last board is the Historic Preservation Commission that we just talked about. Justin Golden's term, he has expired as of May 31st. He would like to be reappointed, and the board would like to have him reappointed, but he is not a city resident. He has moved during his time on HPC and now lives outside the city limits. So based on what we just approved, unfortunately, Mr. Golden could not be reappointed because he's not a city resident any longer.
That brings up a point. What if they move? You know, let's say another one moves. Do they have to immediately resign?
They
or
would
how
have to
does that
resign
work?
for, it's in our bylaws, they would
So
have,
once they
well,
move-
I say it's in our bylaws, it's also a state statute, that
So
they
once-
have to reside within the jurisdiction of the municipality.
And if they move outside, then they resign at that point?
That's right.
Yeah, yeah. Some of these, like Emily said, HPC and some other, DDA and some others, there's a little more to it than just
A
the
board
bylaws
appointment.
of the board. There's law that's intertwined with what we have to do, state law. So, so unfortunately, we cannot approve Mr. Golden, but like MJ's going to reach out to the Tipton Heritage Foundation to see if we can recruit some volunteers to serve on HPC. And as with all of these boards, the city does provide training and at the city expense, and so they'll be brought up to speed on everything. All right, any other discussion for the board reports? Any other questions, gentlemen? All right, I'm going to turn everything over to Larry for our financial report.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We just finished up our fiscal year ending June 30th, so these numbers are as of the end of the year, and we did have a good year in all the funds, the general fund and the enterprise funds. They were all positive results. In all the funds, the revenues exceeded what we forecast, and expenditures were under budget, so we had the best of both worlds there, so we had very good results in all the funds. In the general fund, total revenues for the year were $16,557,314, and the expenditures were $15,315,640, with net revenues over expenditures of $1,241,674. So that was very good for the general fund. And I want to compliment all the department heads. We have great department heads, and they manage their departments very efficiently. So I just want to compliment them. So. And then on the enterprise funds, all of them had good results there. The water fund, total revenues were $4,438,479. Expenditures, $3,179,604, with net revenues over expenditures of $1,258,875. On the sewer fund, total revenues, $5,332,245. Total expenditures, $4,370,748. Net revenues over expenditures, $961,496. On the gas fund, total revenues, $6,005,183. Total expenditures, $5,331,408. Net revenues over expenditures of $673,774. And then on the solid waste fund, total revenues, $4,284,778. Total expenditures, $3,021,294, with net revenues over expenditures of $1,263,483. So we had a very good year, and hopefully we can continue that. We had the previous year was a very good year, and this year was good. So, like I say, I'd give all our department heads the credit for that.
And we agree with that statement. That we know that they're very frugal, they're very considerate of the budget and the fact that this is public money, and so we appreciate the work that all of our department heads and all of the employees and contractors that we work with consider. So thank you for that. All right, is there anything you need to go over on that detailed financial report?
On the detail?
Yeah, does anyone have any questions? I mean, it's pretty extensive.
It's detailed.
It's detailed, yes. It's very detailed.
Yeah, I would point out some items like the fire truck that we just purchased for $480,000. That was in next year's budget, but we had to move quickly to get that one because it was on the lot, and we didn't have to wait a year to have another one built. So that moved into this, so we'll have to get a budget amendment for that one line item for that. Okay. And then I think on municipal court, the public defender line item was about twice what we budgeted. So those two line items pretty much the only ones out of kilter, really.
Okay.
So, but we will bring budget amendments to those.
Okay, to those two items.
In a month or two.
Okay, does anyone have any questions of Larry concerning anything presented? Okay, thank you, Larry. Appreciate that good information. Very good. All right, Emily, city manager report.
Just two quick things. One, we received notification from GDOT that we did receive the safety grant from them. We asked for $300,000. We were able to get $360,000. So we're excited that is to be used for safety, for striping, all that good stuff. So we will be putting that money to good use. And then lastly, I just want to say that the mayor and I had an opportunity last week to go on a tour with the DCA executive team where we were able to tour our downtown Tifton, which we're very proud of, talk about our project we have coming on Commerce Way, as well as the redevelopment in South Tifton and the great things that are going on down there. I believe they were very pleased with their dollars at work here in Tifton. That's what they were looking at, grant-funded items, projects that we've done. So I was very excited to be with the mayor and be able to give them this tour and just really show off Tifton and what we're doing with the funds and redevelopment. So that was a great insight for the city.
They were very impressed with the work and the vision of the council with regard to, we talked a lot about at our planning retreat, some of the items that we were we're hoping to accomplish over the course of the next year or so. And they were really very supportive, and it's a great partnership having DCA. Having the commissioner come to Tifton and visit our community is a great honor. To have his entire executive team here was really special. So it was a good afternoon. I thoroughly enjoyed that. We had a good time. All right, anything else you got for us?
That's all I have.
All right, gentlemen, anybody have any comments they'd like to wrap up with?
I just want to echo on Larry's comments about all the department heads. I appreciate all you guys, you know. I mean, I can send Crystal or Jessica a text like, hey, what's going such and such? And they're immediately respond right back,
Yep.
even if they don't know. They let me, I'll find out for you, you know.
Yep.
But, and then Adam and Jeff, I mean, I can't thank you guys enough. But one thing I did find out, if you're on vacation, you will not answer that phone, which I don't blame you, but I do appreciate it. And then Jeff goes on vacation, boom, then Adam goes.
Yeah.
But anyways, but thank all you guys for everything you do. I really appreciate y'all.
And I also want to recognize Hillary Culpepper, our Main Street director, who's hiding behind the post back there thinking nobody can see her, but I can see her. All right, Lester, you good? You good? Okay. Jay,
I just want to say, address my district as far as letting them know that people did mention some things about the park, but we are working on those things and moving forward, trying to better that place and all we can. Remember, government is slow. It takes time. You wish it was easy to just come in and turn on a light and boom, everything's like fixed. But time, you know. And also, I want to applaud our chief here today. We did a little panhandling bust ourselves. I caught somebody trying to do some panhandling, and they got right on it. So that's a good thing. And I just want to let people know we think about sometimes as far as from our homeless standpoint, that a lot of times we see some of these panhandlers and we think they're just homeless hanging around. But what sounded like what we found out today is this is some people that's just passing through and said, this looks like a good spot to stop, and, you know, and then they move on. It's Florida tag. So they're obviously passing through saying we can try to see if we can get some money out of these people. But just be mindful, you know, if you don't feel safe, call the police, make a report about it, you know, and just be aware. Just be aware. And that was all because I'm just aware. And I just picked up on it and I made the call, and we stopped that right then and there. So just always be aware of your surroundings, and, you know, just look out for each other. You know, we look out for each other, we might be all right.
There you go.
But just wanted to put that out there.
Okay, thank you. Jack?
Just want to talk just a minute about SPLOST. You know, Facebook is a wonderful thing. There can be more misinformation. If I see one more time, they're against the tax increase. Okay, it's those that are watching. This is not a tax increase. One is ending, it's a tax continuation, so our taxes aren't going up. What city residents need to understand that probably, what is it, Mayor? 50%, give or take, are paid by those that don't
Right.
reside in the county. Well,
This is not a property tax, this is a sales tax.
Sales tax.
Yeah.
If we did not have this, as we were talking earlier about the gas fund, and we've talked about the water fund, if we don't have the money from SPLOST, that's where we get most of our improvements for these funds. And city residents thought this last increase was a big one. Well, if we don't have SPLOST, we'd have to raise rates again to pay for this infrastructure. And that costs money. And so we're just lucky to be sitting where we're sitting with all the interstate, the other state highways, and all the people that come through here provide 50% of the tax, plus or minus. So no, it's not a tax increase. You know, please, we need to continue this and vote for it come November.
And that'll be on the ballot November 23rd. And like you said, anytime someone buys a meal at a restaurant, fills their car up with gas, buys a dress at the big store, a pair of shoes at the mall, you know, they're paying a sales tax. That 1 penny, it's amazing how many millions of dollars are generated by 1 penny of each dollar of sales. So, like Jack said, the bulk of that, at least half of it, is paid by people from out of town. And it's a consumer-based tax. It's not a property tax. And you're right, it's not a new tax. It's an extension of what we already have. So I know that Emily and Mr. Carter at the county are going to be making the rounds, talking to different ones I know Chairman McBrayer and I are coordinating a meeting to meet with some folks at the Chamber of Commerce to talk about this, so we'll make sure that the word gets out to everyone.
Yeah, do an interview with Hayward, because Hayward's one that's put out there, he's not in favor of it, he's voting against it.
What?
I've already talked to Hayward about
Well,
that.
he just put that out there yesterday, or sometime, when it, yesterday, Julie, you saw it.
Yesterday or this morning, yeah. There's a lot of misinformation. I am not correcting any misinformation, because that's not I'm not on council, that's not my job for the city of Tifton. But there is a lot of misinformation out there, so I don't know who out there is on social. Y'all might have your person, whoever marketing, you guys have a marketing department now. You know, when you did you guys didn't, but the county did a lot of graphics for Lost. The city might want to even work with the county, since I know you're on the same side on this issue, to get some of those graphics out. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I actually have them saved, and I can send them to you. Because honestly, social is where it's at, we know that.
I'll just add, the county manager and I are beginning to line up that road show to be able to go to different organizations, civic organizations, and talk about that. I will be at the Rotary Club this week. We will partner and go hand in hand together. This is a group effort to be able to do this, and then we will partner together for informational pieces for marketing once we get a little closer to the date.
And I just want to remind people, you know, anyone that has questions, feel free to call any of us. Any of us will be glad to answer any questions, clarify anything. All of our email addresses, cell phone numbers are on the city website. It's easy to find any of us. So if you have any questions, concerns, there's no stupid question. You know, let us know. We'll make sure that we get the answer for you. All right, anything else you got, Jack?
Oh, my God.
Yes, you got? Okay. All right. I'll wrap us up very quickly. Just reminding people to stay cool and make sure your pets have plenty of water and bring them inside if you can. They don't mind the air conditioning. And just have a great evening. So no further business to come before us. We are adjourned. Thank you.